We know Aussies like two things: performance variants, which we're one of the highest consumers per capita of, and utes, which frequently vie for our #1 position in our marketplace. Since the demise of local manufacturing though, on-road performance and utes haven't really mixed and have given way to more famous off-road counterparts like the Ranger Raptor, for example. Local tuning outfit Walkinshaw though has teamed up with Volkswagen on this new Amarok variant to give us something a little bit different. Before we take a closer look at it though, remember you can read the full written review over on carsguide.com.au. And if you are enjoying our reviews and are watching on YouTube, remember to hit like, subscribe and the bell notification icon to stay up to date with all of our latest content. Straight away, it seems as though the Walkinshaw tweaked Amarok is targeting its more off-road focused rivals. Wearing before on-road costs of just over 70 grand for the base car or almost 80 grand for the top spec, the W580 clearly wants your money over a Ford Ranger Raptor, Mazda BT50 Thunder, and Toyota Hilux Rugged X. However, unlike its price rivals, the Walkinshaw tweaked Amarok is aiming more for on-road performance instead of aiming to pre-package an off-road solution. As such, you'll see no winch kits or steel bumpers in the W580's kit list. Instead, W580s are packaged with essentially the same standard kit as a Highline 580, plus an entirely redesigned front bumper, new LED fog light fitments, Walkinshaw detailing inside and out, and a bonnet protector. Now, aside from all that garnish, there has been mechanical changes as well. The Amarok's been lifted up. It has a wider wheel and tyre set, which have larger guards now to accommodate them. And it also has a reworked suspension tune, which works wonders from behind the wheel. The real star of the show though is that suspension tune, which features twin tube shock absorbers front and rear. Walkinshaw has put significant work into making the Amarok even more of a stellar on-road performer. The W580 really has to be seen in the metal to really be appreciated. The pictures seem to do no justice to the extra stance this car has, which combines with the tough new wheels to give it a much more menacing look than the Highline or Ultimate 580 trims. While the standard W580 is a little more sedate, the 580S does really get the message across with the rear sailplane bar and twin side exhausts. It's a properly mean-looking ute without being as aggressively restyled as something like the Ranger Raptor. If anything though, I wish this collaboration had yielded a more interesting interior design. The same Volkswagen touchpoints persist, complete with now dated things like the analog dial cluster, carryover steering wheel, and tiny multimedia screen. At least it has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity. It would have been nice to see truly bespoke seats instead of just embroidered ones, and perhaps a different wheel, maybe one from Volkswagen's R-Line catalogue. Perhaps even some different inserts in the dash to add some colour. One of the objectives with this Walkinshaw collaboration was not to mess with the Amarok's capabilities, and as such, the brand tells us it should be just as capable off the road as the standard 580 variants, despite its on-road focused tune. In fact, the extra ride height at the front should give it more ability. The tray will still accommodate a standard Australian pallet even with the top spec S's very welcome tub liner, which is a real rarity amongst dual cabs in our market and one of the Amarok's key selling points. The cabin is wide and SUV-like, and as we've said in previous reviews of this car, it's still one of the most comfortable in the segment when it comes to accommodating 4 adults. There are still also plenty of storage trays and cup holders too. Speaking of key Amarok selling points, the W580 is equipped with a 3-litre V6 turbo diesel, versions of which are also featured in Audi and Porsche products. This engine is a real monster, one of the most powerful in the dual cab scene, and it grants the W580 a 0 to 100 km/h sprint time of just 7.3 seconds. Although there's no special Walkinshaw tune here, it is easy to see why it doesn't really need one. The bespoke exhaust on the W580S is said to boost the engine note by 16 decibels, although to be honest, it was pretty hard to notice a real difference here. The Amarok continues to drive all 4 wheels via a permanent 4-motion all-wheel drive system as opposed to a mechanically selectable 4-wheel drive system and low-range transfer case more commonly used amongst its rivals. Fuel consumption is said to be unchanged from the existing crop of V6 580 variants. Not bad for a 3-litre V6 with monster power figures though. The Amarok has an 80-litre fuel tank. So you're probably wondering why Walkinshaw chose to lift the Amarok instead of lower it like you'd think they would for on-road performance. But lowering the Amarok would mean compromising its towing capacity, and both brands didn't want to do that. So instead, the choice was made to lift it at the front and balance it out over both axles. And it has really made quite a big difference, especially with that retuned suspension. This is a really balanced pickup truck to drive on the road. Initially on the straight, it is a little jiggly back and forth because it has been firmed up over the standard car. But when you load it up in the corners and really subject it to some harsher bumps and corrugations, it's where you can see the depth of the suspension tune's ability. It's little things in the tune like the rebound that have been really ironed out to keep this big body really under control in the corners or when you do subject it to those larger bumps. With that massive tyre and wheel combination as well, the confidence in the corners has skyrocketed, and with this big V6 engine, it's a combination that's really to be appreciated in a ute. I was talking with my colleagues just yesterday driving this car thinking, would you even think of driving roads like we've driven in this ute today, in a ute 10 years ago? The performance is just, there's no comparison. And of course, the standard attributes of the 580 are still there. The engine's hugely powerful, the 8-speed transmission just works its way through the gears in such a linear fashion. It's a really well put together package, possibly even the best on the road. Now, to be clear, it doesn't quite have that filtering characteristic that the Fox shocks in the Ranger Raptor has. That car is immensely comfortable. This is more connected to the road and more like an SUV, even a performance-oriented SUV to drive. And that's really impressive. That's something that you really wouldn't expect a ute to be able to give you. Now, one drawback of this larger wheel and tyre combination is that at lower speeds, the steering does get quite heavy to turn in, but it really is at higher speeds where this truck shines. Now, one of the awkward topics for the Amarok and another area in which it's showing its age just generally is the lack of today's expected safety items. There's no auto emergency braking in this truck, and there's no rear row airbags either. The Amarok also lacks other up-to-date items like lane keep assist, lane departure warning, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, etc. Of course, one of the benefits of going with this officially sanctioned Walkinshaw package is it's all covered by Volkswagen's 5-year and unlimited kilometre warranty. There are also service packs, and we'll throw the prices for those up on the screen now. Opting for either of the service plans is the best option here, as it will trim the cap price servicing even further, with the 5-year package saving almost $1,000 off the recommended service pricing. One thing is clear, the W580 is no Raptor, but it doesn't need to be. This Walkinshaw collaboration leans into the Amarok's best attributes, as a ute that feels the most like a passenger car of its cohort. And really, for most buyers in cities, that's what they should be looking for.